The Titanic. A story of tragedy, loss, and one of history's greatest maritime disasters. But few know it was a carefully orchestrated conspiracy designed to eliminate powerful opponents of a new banking system and collect a massive insurance payout. Hello, I am Dr. K. Paul Stoller, and I was once a dream walker, like a lucid dreamer on steroids. Before the movie Titanic was ever released, I found myself in dream space, observing the corroded deck of the ship most people know as the Titanic. In the murky depths, I saw one of the ship's officers walk by me, dragging his intestines behind him. I knew I was looking at a ghost, and I believe his intestines represented the part of his energetic system that was stuck, unable to move on. As soon as he became aware of my presence, he engaged me in a conversation about how horrible he was, about all the death and destruction he believed he had caused. He was the ship's communication officer, and he was convinced that whatever he said, or however he said it, had not landed with the captain, who took the ship at full steam into an ice field. I remember what I said to him. The ship went down for several reasons, none of which had anything to do with you. I said it with an authority that even surprised my personality. He decided I just didn't fully understand the extent of his deeds, so he proceeded to show me the most horrific scenes of human carnage from that fateful night. It was so over the top in blood and gore that I started to laugh, which enraged the poor man, and I left the scene. I was later told he eventually was released from his self-imposed, guilt-fueled prison. It's just that I wasn't the one able to help him with that. But why was this officer so consumed by guilt? And why did the Titanic really sink? The official story tells us it was an accident, a tragic collision with an iceberg on a cold April night in 1912. But the truth is far more sinister. Among the passengers on the Titanic were three of the most powerful and wealthy men of their time: Benjamin Guggenheim, John Jacob Astor Thorpe, and Isidor Straus. All three were millionaires, and all three were vehemently opposed to the creation of a private central bank in the United States, a plan being orchestrated by the Rothschild-Rockefeller-Morgan cartel. Others know them as the Illuminati. J.P. Morgan was in charge of the White Star Line, the company that built the Titanic. But Morgan had a problem. The Titanic's sister ship, the Olympic, had been at fault in more than one accident and would not be able to collect on insurance to help with repairs. The Olympic would never be able to pass annual inspection. So what did he do? He did a switcheroo and swapped the damaged Olympic for the Titanic on what the world believed was the Titanic's maiden voyage. The plan was to scuttle the Olympic on its way to New York, collect the insurance, and remove any opposition to the private central bank we call the Fed. Photographic evidence suggests the ship that sank was actually the Olympic, with 16 portholes, while the real Titanic had only 14. When Robert Ballard discovered the wreck in 1986, he found a gray underboard, originally the Olympic's color, and a propeller stamped with the number 401, originally from the real Titanic, but switched during repairs in Belfast. Just before departure, around 50 first-class passengers canceled their reservations at the last moment, all friends or colleagues of J.P. Morgan. Morgan himself was due to sail, but claimed illness, yet was spotted 2 days later at a French resort in perfect health with his mistress. He was to the Titanic what Lucky Larry was to the World Trade Centers. Captain Smith was chosen to pilot the vessel despite his atrocious safety record. On the night of April 14, 1912, the Titanic received 6 messages, 3 of which were iceberg warnings. The iceberg was visible from 2 miles away, and the ship's stopping distance from full speed was only half a mile. It was as if the ship was deliberately steered into the iceberg. The SS California was only 19 miles away when the Titanic hit the iceberg. The Titanic sent out distress rockets in red, blue, and white. But the Californian only saw white rockets, which it chose to ignore. After the disaster, the inquiries that followed were riddled with inconsistencies. The second officer, Lightoller, the highest-ranking survivor, was repeatedly caught lying. He even wrote that it was very necessary to keep one's hand on the whitewash brush when referring to the inquiries. Survivors were detained overnight upon returning to land, with no access to union representatives, and were coerced into signing the Official Secrets Act. Key witnesses mysteriously disappeared. The first officer was said to have suicided himself. Just 1 year after the Titanic sank, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 was passed, without opposition. The 3 men who had stood in the way of its creation Guggenheim Astor, and Strauss were gone. The Rothschild-Rockefeller-Morgan cartel had cemented their private central bank in the land of the free. Today, U.S. national debt surpasses $38 trillion. The legacy of that fateful night in 1912 continues to shape our financial system and our lives. The ghost I encountered in dream space was consumed by guilt for a disaster he believed he caused. But as I told him, the ship went down for several reasons, none of which had anything to do with him. The real responsibility lies with those who orchestrated the tragedy for profit and power. The sinking of the Titanic may have been one of history's greatest conspiracies, a deliberate act designed to eliminate opposition, collect insurance money, and pave the way for a banking system that enslaves us to this day. The truth is out there. Share this video to spread awareness. Thanks to the release of the Epstein files, we now know a cabal of cannibalistic pedophilic psychopaths have been running the world. It probably didn't start with the Titanic, and this is just one of many nasty events humanity has had to absorb and come to terms with. These nasty revelations are a negative positive, and facing them and owning them is the way we move forward.